That one, sorry. Right, good morning. Welcome everybody to this meeting of the Executive Committee of the Buckinghamshire and Milton Keynes Fire Authority, which is the last one of the municipal year. We'll start with, I should just say it's being recorded and will be uploaded to the authority's YouTube channel. If you could just make sure your camera's off, unless you want to speak. We'll start firstly with apologies for absence.
Councillor McLean.
Thank you. And I'll just quickly as well before we move to... Actually, no, I'll do it now. So I'm conscious that this is the last meeting of the Executive Committee before the new municipal year. I think this is also Councillor Lancaster's last meeting with the authority because you are moving to the heady heights of Mayor of Milton Keynes next year. So I just want to say thank you for everything you've done while you've been on the authority. I think you've been an excellent member. I wish you well in your mayoral term. I'm also... need to report that Councillor Stephen Lambert, through some changes of groups at Buckinghamshire Council, has left the Fire Authority and, by dint of that, the Executive Committee. But I'm delighted he's in the room today because we're going to talk about you in your absence, but now you're here, we'll talk about you. Councillor Lambert has obviously served on the Fire Authority for a number of years, since 2013, in fact, I believe is right. So a very long service indeed. And I know you declared at the last Fire Authority it was to be your last meeting. Councillor Lambert also, of course, has served as the portfolio member for People at various during the stage of that membership as well, but has also, I think we'd all agree, been a very active and supportive member of the authority. And so we wanted to recognise that long commitment, Stephen. I was going to talk about it in your absence and show people, but now you're here, I'm going to ask the Chief Fire Officer to just present you with a memento on behalf of the authority for your service to us. So if you'd like to come to the front.
Oh, should we do it this time?
Yes.
Truly,
actually.
If you do it with Louise, I'll shake hands. Just do it.
Where do you want me? I can take it.
I'll get out of the way. I'll get out of the way. So you just do it with Louise as a photo, because it's more of a...
Wow. I'll say a few words in a second. And on behalf of us all, a huge thank you from us. I know we've only had a chance to work together for about 15 months, but I know you've been a key member of our authority and a really supportive member. So on behalf of all our team as well, we thank you hugely for your service to us as a service and wish you all the best in your future endeavours. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I would just like to say I'm so proud of this service. Everything we've done since I've been part of it since 2013 has always had public safety and our colleagues in mind about how we deliver the best we possibly can for Buckinghamshire and Milton Keynes. And I've never taken my eye off the prize of making this one of the best service out of 42 in the country. I'm immensely proud of what you do. And I will be looking from afar, but you'll always have a place in my heart, and I will constantly evangelise about the work that you do. You bat it out the park, you absolutely do, and be proud of that, and every step of the way you'll have my heart. Thank you very much. Oh, thank you. Wow.
You're very welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. We'll let you. There you go. I should also add as well that we will be presenting a similar memento to Councillor Hopkins for his long service, which we weren't able to do when he came off the authority last year, but we've got that in hand as well. So that will happen shortly. Right, Stephen, that moves us on to item number 2, which is the minutes of the last meeting. Are there any questions as to accuracy? Happy for me to approve and sign? Thank you. So matters arising from the last meeting. First is EX34 Medium-Term Financial Plan 2526 to 2930. The Chief Fire Officer and Deputy Chief Fire Officer had recently met with some local MPs, but it would be a good idea to follow this up with a letter, including USAR funding and the National Insurance shortfall. The Director of Finance and Assets advised that a letter had been sent to all local MPs and the Fire Minister. Just to update on that, so we had a response from Joy Morrissey. I think you said Laura Kirk-Smith has responded as well on that specific issue. Joy Morrissey also wrote to the Minister, and we've had a response to the Minister, which I have to say is all about local government, not about the fire authority, so not particularly helpful. But we were just discussing before the meeting, following up with the other MPs as well, just to make sure they're sharing the message. And I think we'd also received some correspondence from MPs following the news on HMI as well. So which MPs responded on it?
Emily Darlington, Laura and...
Joy did as well,
yes.
Yeah. So we'll keep you updated on that issue of the funding. A member asked about the capital programme. This was being asked in Princes Risborough about the drill tower and the loss of mobile phone signal. The Director of Finance and Assets advised members that officers were in contact with the mobile phone operator and had offered them the ability to site a temporary mast on the authority's site elsewhere, which they declined to do. At present, they cannot be allowed to operate from that tower because it was unsafe to use, but they've been offered the ability to rectify the situation with an alternative solution. The Chairman asked that a letter be sent to the Princes Risborough Parish Council setting out the authority's position. The Director of Finance and Assets advised that a letter had been sent to the Parish Council. Has that been read to the Parish Council?
Town Council, but yes, thank you.
Oh, sorry, Town Council. It's not me, I'm just reading what's read here. I apologise to the people of Princes Risborough. Town Council. A member asked if the fire door assessment and replacement programme, due to have started in January, had started. Director of Finance and Assets has written to the member and given an update. Just want to share what that was.
Yeah, so in terms of fire door assessments, we'd obviously do annual health and safety inspections of all our premises. One of the themes we picked up is that some of the fire doors are starting to come to end of life because eventually the intermittent strips start to wear down on some of those. So rather than do it piecemeal, we're going to kind of look right across the piece to make sure they're all kind of up to date and up to code. So that work is going to slip slightly into Q1 of the new year, but it's all scheduled to be done. So we're ahead of the game on that one.
Thank you. So that moves us on to disclosure of interest or any pecuniary interest that members wish to declare. So no, thank you very much. Any questions under Standing Order SOA 7?
None, Chairman.
Thank you. So that moves us to performance management, Q3 24-25. I'll go straight over to Craig. Welcome.
Morning all. As always, there's a lot of items to discuss in there potentially. The one thing I would say is this is to cover October to December. I appreciate we're now nearly in April, but as a service we are trying to improve how quickly we look at our performance, and that has had an impact, and hopefully in the future we'll start seeing some of the benefits from that. There are 3 highlighted measures as usual in the pack. The first one is about regarding non-domestic false alarms. There is commentary in there to explain all these, but the main reason for that being in there is to show the impact of the AFA policy change that was implemented in July. While that was a pilot then, you can see the impact that's had on our false alarms in those properties. And the second one being fire safety audits, just really to help understand where we were at that point in time and why there was basically a sea of red on the RAG statuses for that. And the third one is just our whole time establishment, just showing you a plan of where we're hoping to be and where we are currently with regards to our whole time firefighter numbers. Like I say, there's many measures in here, so rather than me going through the ones I think are important, I'm happy just to take questions that you have in relation to any of those.
Thank you. With respect to the fire audits, given that there are more staff now recruited and being trained, when do we think that this will pick up and we'll be able to deal with backlog?
Well, I can tell you in February's numbers were green, so they're already there. We hope envisage that will stay green, but we're already seeing the impact of that. Again, it's a lag, I appreciate that, but yeah, so we're already at green on that.
So can I just two questions. So firstly, just an update on the internal audit overdue audits position, which, if I'm reading the trend correctly, hasn't really moved a lot. So it'd just be good to understand, is there anything in there that we need to be concerned about? And then particularly because we're coming to the end of yet another municipal year and we really haven't still cracked the issue on the carbon emissions, just really good to understand what we're intending to do there, because we've been grappling with this now for quite a long time, and I understand, and actually knowing this, I'm trying to do it for my own organisation, it can be difficult getting the information you need from suppliers, but we need to try and find a way through it because we do need to be able to track and demonstrate the progress. So could you just update us on that one as well?
Yeah, certainly, Chairman. So the internal audits will kind of only get updated every kind of third of the year in line with the overview and audit committees. That's when the internal auditors will do their update report. So again, as Craig said, some of this data lags a bit. So at the last audit committee last week, the number of overdue audits has gone down slightly. So I think that's now in green territory. Every time you have a committee, then add some more action. So it tends to go up and down. But if you look at the long-term trend, kind of February 21, June 21, we're up at 19 overdue, 23 overdue. We're now down to 4, and I think as of last week that was probably 3. So we are knocking off those actions, and they are closely monitored by the Overview and Audit Committee to make sure we're held to account as officers to deliver against those. So I'm comfortable they're all in hand. And in terms of carbon emissions, yeah, that's a constant source of frustration to me too, and I appreciate it's frustrating for members. We have had issues with suppliers. We have had some information back, but I wasn't convinced of the quality of that information from the energy suppliers, so we've gone back and queried that. We do now have smart meters fitted on all our stations. It's just, again, with the supplier, the issue of getting those connected up. But once they're connected up into the reporting system, we'll be able to monitor our energy on a near real-time basis, which is the really useful part of the bit, rather than reporting in arrears what it was. We can actually see, actually this station compared to that station is seeing more energy usage, or that is kind of outside what we'd expect for that time of year. What's the issue? What's going on? Is there an issue with equipment? Is it staff behaviour in terms of leaving stuff open? Things like that. So hopefully next year we'll start to really be able to report on that in a lot better with some much more useful information that we can actually do something with.
Okay, thank you. So just on the audits, I wonder whether a different way of presenting this then, because I understand the point you're making, is obviously the overdue audits as a number need to be reported, and then potentially setting a threshold at a number level that you want. But I wonder therefore whether it might be more meaningful on the overdue audits to show the percentage of the overdue audits that are either high or medium priority, because that's what we're really concerned about. And if I understand rightly, we're saying there are 3 medium priorities in that 4. So I think that might be a better way to focus us in on what needs to get done, rather than just the percentage of overdue actions. If you're saying it's because there is more stock being created, which I think is what you're telling me.
Yeah, that's a really useful way of doing it, because yeah, obviously you're aware that audits are graded between high, medium and low, depending on the urgency they need rectifying. So we can certainly pick up the high and medium ones, because obviously they're the ones that are more concerning to officers and members.
Good, thank you. Then, sorry, just one more point, and I'll go to Councillor Hall, which is just the injury rate. There was obviously a big jump quarter on quarter. Is there anything in there we need to be concerned about?
Honestly, I don't think I can answer that here. I don't think so is the honest answer, but I'll speak to our health and safety and come back to you on that one. Off the top of my head, I just wouldn't like to answer, if that's fine.
Thank you, Chairman. Well, I criticise our postal capabilities, and then I go and leave my reading glasses at home, so I can barely see the report anyway. But page, I think it's. I think I'm looking at page 2341 on the over the border. The report doesn't tell us as much as I'd like it to tell us. It tells us we have a weakness, but it doesn't tell us where the weakness is. I mean, I'm going to take an educated guess that Slough Fire Station coming into South Bucks is an awful big chunk of this, but I'd also like to understand how much Tame is coming over into West Buckinghamshire and how much Bedfordshire is coming into Milton Keynes. So if we could perhaps drill down into the detail a little bit on that one, Craig, so we can actually see where the weak spots are.
Yeah, you are right. It's mostly Slough, Langley, that area around Denham. I can't give you numbers off the top of my head for Tame, but it's nowhere near what it is down the south of the county. We do produce a report pretty much every year, which we supply to their members as well, which does give that breakdown. So it shows you it's about geography, it's not about availability, and that's shown here because we have all our appliances are available, our whole-time appliances, yet then that over the border went up slightly. So yes, we will provide that. I can give you last year's report, and we'll produce another one this year, no doubt. So, but yeah, we can provide that.
Thank you, Chair. Just looking onto the on-call response model and also the actual versus establishment, pretty much on most of the on-call, it's an obvious thing that we need to look at trying to get more on-call people in. It's not going to happen tomorrow, and I appreciate that. But then I look over towards the social media engagement, and it's going up and down like a roller coaster, if I'm honest. In the report, it mentions a lot about the technical issue on Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it nowadays. Do we have any sort of information, because it doesn't actually say on how we're looking to look on social media content across Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, etc. Because if it's working on different channels, is it just X that's bringing us down, and we're having a sole focus on just one, or are we looking at all of them? Because I'm just thinking of a way of being able to have, and like I said, the cumulative, we are having a nice green starting to come across. So is there something that's needing to be put onto social media that can attract more people to look at coming into on-call firefighting from Bucks Fire side of things? It's just so we can get this sea of red out the way, basically.
Yeah. So there's a lot of questions there. The first one I'd say, we look at across all platforms and we measure it. February, we saw LinkedIn was, I think, the best it's been by over 100%. Instagram, I think we was 70% higher than any other month, 300% higher than on average. It's starting to kick in. We do look at all of them individually. The problem with Twitter is just that they changed the way that it reported. So it wasn't the fact we were having a problem with getting social media out on there, it was just our account management and how we reported it. So that was that. With regards to the recruitment of on-call, do you want...
I'm happy to.
Yeah, well, thank you.
So I think obviously over a period of time when we've discussed this report with members, we know that there are some challenges around on-call ultimately, and that's why we've committed in the CRMP to have a really good look and review of what it is we need by way of capability. And actually we could have a follow-up workshop with the exec committee to talk through some plans around how do we really meaningfully build an on-call model that supports our overall requirements around response standard and resilience. Once we better understand that and have a position, we can really start to target where we know we need to recruit more heavily. So yes, essentially what I'm saying, I suppose, is challenges, work in progress, going to work with members to really kind of look at what that model looks like for the future.
So just to add to the social media bit, to what Craig was saying around the reason February is really good engagement is because that's when we're actually recruiting. That tends to get some really good traction. So we had a whole time recruitment was out in February, and some of those posts went kind of viral almost in terms of like day in the life of a firefighter, got some really, really good traction. And we did see a massive jump in applications towards the end of the campaign as a result of the social media campaign, which is really good to see. So yeah, absolutely, there's some real good opportunity with the on-call recruitment, as Doug said, in terms of really targeting it, to really use that to help our on-call numbers as well.
That's great to hear, actually. Why February for a start, and is there a way of being able to balance it out so we can have that consistency over the following months coming forward?
I think in terms of recruitment, we work back from where we can get the slot of the college, and we work back from that, and February is the time you need to get them into the service to get everything teed up. So that's the reason for February. Obviously, we've kind of approved Westcott going forwards, so once it's kind of within our own gift with the training, we can kind of work out the timings to suit us a bit more.
Happy to note the report. Good, thank you very much. That moves us on to the item which is Gender and Ethnicity Pay Gap Report. Councillor Hall to introduce.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm presenting the Gender Pay Gap Report, which you will be asked to approve and note, and I will hand over to Faye.
Thank you and good morning. So as an organisation, the authority has a duty to carry out gender pay gap reporting. and to publish 6 pieces of prescribed data about the pay and bonuses of male and female employees on an annual basis by the 30th of March. The snapshot date for the public sector employer is 31st of March each year, and the data presented within this report, as detailed in Appendix 1, is based on the date as at the 31st of March 2024. The gender pay gap shows the difference between the average earnings of males compared to females, irrespective of role or seniority. It examines the difference in the average pay gap expressed as the percentage of male earnings. It is important to note that a gender pay gap is not unlawful, and the presence of a gender pay gap does not mean the authority is discriminating against groups of individuals. A gender pay gap is a reflection of the workforce profile at a specific time, i.e. the snapshot date. In comparison, equal pay is a legal obligation and about the unequal rewards of male and females carrying out the same job, similar job, or work of equal value, as set out in the Equality Act 2010. Organisations can have a gender pay gap without breaching equal pay provisions, and the authority's gender pay gap is not because of any equal pay issues. The gender pay gap, as detailed as in Appendix 1, details the authority's gender pay gap for 2024. The mean gender pay gap has decreased again and is the lowest pay gap since first reporting in 2017, and is 9.8 percentage points lower than 2017 when it was 19.4%. And this is really positive and takes the service 3.5 percentage points below the UK average pay gap for 2024, which was 13.1%. The mean, which is the average gender pay gap, has decreased from this year, 2024. And the median, which is the midpoint gender pay gap, has also decreased from 8.46% in 2023 to 7.5% in 2024. Through positive action and community engagement, we will engage, encourage and support those from underrepresented groups in seeing the fire service as an employer of choice in the hope of continuing to lower the gender pay gap. And we are definitely seeing an improvement with the numbers applying from female and ethnic minorities, and we think this correlates to the positive action and the community engagement initiatives that we have in place. One of the appendices is, the benchmark data, as published in the government's website, provides additional comparison data across fire services. So this is in Appendix 2. The benchmark data demonstrates widely different mean and medium gender pay gaps within the same sector for this reporting period. And it's very difficult to understand how other fire services arrive at their gender pay gap without the background data, and many services do not publish a report alongside their gender pay gap, and we can only be certain of our own data. I've also provided comparison data. So gender pay gap comparison data has been provided for operational versus support staff employees as detailed in Appendix 3. This data also drills down into age and employment status. What this data shows is that whilst there are fewer females in operational roles, gender disparity is greater within support service roles. There are several factors that may contribute to the pay gaps between male and female support service employees, and despite there being a high proportion of females to males, more males hold management level positions, this is grade J and above, than females, and in addition there is a higher percentage of females in part-time roles, with the majority in that group aged 40 and above. Whilst the number of female operational employees has increased in 2024, the highest proportion was in the bottom 2 quartiles, and as firefighters join the service as apprentice, this is to be expected. Operational employees are more likely to move between quartiles due to temporary promotion opportunities and as they develop into more senior roles. Whilst approximately half of operational employees remain in the same quartiles for 24, as in 2023, almost a quarter of males move up at least one quartile, and more females than males move down to a lower quartile. And for on-call employees, over the 6-year period, the number of employees has reduced for both male and females, despite the slight increase of female operational on-call employees, and the average number of hours worked for both male and females has also decreased in 2024. With regards to ethnicity pay gap for 24, currently there is no legislative requirement for organisations to carry out ethnicity pay gap reporting, and whilst reporting is not mandatory as part of the service's approach to improving inclusion and tackling inequality in the workplace, this data has been provided for the second year as detailed in Appendix 4. Using the principles of the gender pay gap reporting, data has been based on the snapshot date of the 31st of March 24 and details the mean and median ethnicity pay gap and pay band quartiles. Whilst gender pay gap reporting compares the data of two groups, which is males versus females, ethnicity pay gap reporting is more complex and involves more groups, some of which have fewer numbers, and due to the requirement to protect confidentiality, different ethnic groups have been combined. So the mean, which is the average ethnicity pay gap, is 0.33%, and the median, which is the midpoint ethnicity pay gap, is 5.19%. As recommended by the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development, 2 additional statistics have also been provided in the appendix, and this is the proportion of the total workforce from other ethnic backgrounds, which for 2024 is 7%, and the proportion of employees who have disclosed their ethnicity, which is 91%, which is the same as in 23. It is planned that measures will be brought in under the Draft Equality, Race and Disability Bill announced in the 2024 King's Speech at the State Opening of Parliament, that disability and ethnicity pay gap reporting will become mandatory, and the legislation tends to introduce this mandatory requirement for employers with over 250 employees. And as per current gender pay gap reporting, and most likely to be reflected in some sister legislation for public bodies. With this in mind, we will start evaluating how we optimise access to relevant data and adopt voluntary reporting on disability pay gap reporting in the same way we have adopted voluntary ethnicity pay gap reporting. So going forwards, we will look at this. However, one area to note is from our data on disability, we're still seeing a high number of applicants and employees not recording anything within this area. So this might be something we need to do some work on, giving confidence to individuals that they can disclose this information to us, and we will treat it confidentially and provide appropriate support through the application process and throughout their employment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions, comments? Yep, Councillor Bay.
Thank you. I think there's some really positive things here about gender, and you know, in my short time as a member of this authority, I've seen some of those positivities in recruitment and the number of women we had at the pass out earlier this year. Obviously, as you said, the key is going to be retaining them and developing them so that gender gap narrows further. This is more a general point on our diversity reporting that I've noted that in other reports as well, and I know there's not a statutory requirement to report on pay gap, but should we going forward be looking at gender wider than just male female, so we're ensuring there isn't any discrimination there?
It's certainly something we can look at. A lot of our data, because it's voluntary reporting, it's very difficult to collect as much data as we could use, but certainly we will look at things going forwards.
Thank you. Any other comments before I make 2 points? Okay, so firstly, welcome the ethnicity pay gap reporting, and I think because it's the first time we've done it, obviously really important that we think about what we do with it. It's the kind of how we respond to it that's really really important, but I think it's a really good first step. Just on the gender pay gap, so the point you make about we don't know how other services are making up their data is something I've heard for the last 3 years that we've done this. I do wonder, partly because I feel like we're in a good place to lead on this now, whether it's worth seeing if we can get a basket of services that would work with us in trying to get a common set of standards so that we do have a frame of reference that we're all confident we're comparing with each other, even if it was just 5 or 6 services. And actually that might then enable some best practice to be spread across the rest of the fire and rescue sector. I just feel that might get rid of that problem, because it would be more helpful to be really confident about how we are comparing. So just a suggestion. Okay, so we're being asked to note and approve the gender pay gap report and approve it, for submission to the government website as per reporting requirements. Happy to do so. Agreed. And we are being asked to note the ethnicity pay gap report. Happy to do so. Good. Thank you very much, Faye. No questions on the Equal Pay Act this year, so that was a good outcome. Right, that moves us on to item number 8, which is the update on His Majesty's Inspectorate Constabulary and Fire Rescue Services work with Buckinghamshire Fire and Rescue Service. Obviously, since the Fire Authority meeting, where I think both myself and the Chief Fire Officer were pretty frustrated we couldn't share the news that we were due to get from HMI. We've obviously since had the update from them, both in terms of the closure of the cause for concern, the 3 causes for concern, and also the removal from the engage phase. I'll say a few words as we close the session, but obviously that's a really good news. And so get ready to take all the glory. Anne-Marie, over to you.
Thank you. So good morning, everyone. So following our HMIC FRS inspection in 2023, our service was identified with 3 causes of concern in the areas of prevention, protection and equality, diversity and inclusion, and consequently we were placed in enhanced monitoring. Over the past year and a half, our team have worked diligently to address these concerns and other areas highlighted by the HMIC FRS in a consistent and sustainable manner. HMI has closely monitored our progress through revisits and through reviews of our documents and data, with the final revisit occurring in January. This report provides the latest update from HMI. As the Chairman has mentioned, I'm pleased to share that due to the significant steps we have taken, all causes of concern have now been resolved, and following an extraordinary HMIC FRS monitoring group meeting, the decision was made to remove us from enhanced monitoring. I would like to thank all our staff for their continued effort and support, which has got us to this stage. Our work does not stop here though. We will continue to ensure we remain inspection ready as we prepare for round 4, which is scheduled to begin later this year. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to take any questions.
No, just I think from all of us really, regardless of party, massive congratulations to you all. You've worked incredibly hard, and it's amazing that you're in this stage, and we look forward, whether we're here or watching from afar, like Councillor Lambert said, on seeing your progress in the future.
Thank you. Any other? Councillor Hall.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I'd just like to add my congratulations to the team. I think you've done a fantastic job between all of you. Some of you are obviously new to your roles, and I'm really, really proud of the way that you've all pulled together, and I'm really happy to walk into HQ and see everybody, sitting at their desk, happy to be there and happy to be doing their jobs. And I think that the team has come together, as I say, the team has come together and worked so hard. I'm very, very proud of it, and I think the people of Buckinghamshire and Milton Keynes will be very proud of you too.
Thank you, well said. So nothing filled me with more joy than seeing dozens of Engage meetings come out of my diary last week. It was definitely felt like a big moment. But just to say, to build on those 2 points, you've had to do some really difficult things over the course of the last 2 or 3 years in getting to this stage. And the important thing is not that we've closed the causes of concern against HMI, is that the Buckinghamshire Fire and Rescue Service is in a demonstrably better place as a result of the work. I think HMI agreeing with that is an extra tick, but I think we can all see both the way the culture is transformed and even just looking at the performance management report, the way the performance has transformed. So I think your point is well made, that the improvement doesn't stop here. And I think having got so far, wish you sort of all the best in kind of the next phase of improvement and development of the service. I just also wanted to just make one observation so it doesn't get lost. The culture, also it's ED&I, isn't it? The ED&I cause for concern is one that a number of services have grappled with. And I think we've said separately that I don't think there's been any other example of a service having that cause for concern closed outside of an inspection round. And so, particularly just wanted to say well done on that. And I think, again, to Councillor Hall's point, you can see how the culture has changed so much that HMI felt able to do that. And I suppose the final bit I just wanted to say is I have sat through every one of those Engage meetings with HMI, and the bit that nobody sees is the skill and ability with which the Chief Fire Officers navigated through those meetings. I think a big reason why we are where we are is they have confidence in Louise. And so I just want to say well done to you. Been really, really good to be alongside you in those sessions. So let that be the last time we have an HMI cause for concern or improvement plan to look at. When does round 4 start?
We're waiting confirmation, but if we happen to be one of the first services, but we're not sure we are, it will be towards the end of August, early September.
Okay, I'll be on holiday. No, but wish you well in preparation for that. And I think within that phase, they're also looking at scrutiny, aren't they, this time, which I think is an important thing for us to just all be aware of as well. But for hopefully the last time, we're happy to note the update on HMI. Thank you. Well done. Oh, sorry, Liz. Yes, I should have invited you to speak. I do apologise.
Okay, fine,
You've had
thank
nothing
you.
to do with it, so.
No, I just wanted to compliment what the chairman has said. I want to place on record my huge thanks to the team, because that's what it has been. It's been a team effort, and not just this team. Everybody has really sort of put their nose to the grindstones and really worked hard, and that's because we've got brilliant staff. We've got people who are committed, who have felt really sore about being where we were, and have just been determined to get us in a better place for not only ourselves but for our communities as well. So it's a huge thank you to them, and it would be remiss of me not to thank the authority and the chairman in particular, because I think part and parcel of the reason why we've been able to progress so quickly is that we've had the support of the authority and the confidence from the authority that we can get on and do the job, and the support financially as well in terms of investing where we needed to. So I just wanted to place on record my huge thanks to you all as well.
Good. I think that is, well, it's the last agenda item. So on that basis, for the last time in this municipal year, I'd like to thank everybody for your work on the Fire Authority and on the Executive Committee. Wish everybody who's standing in election the very best of luck. For those of you that aren't, enjoy the break. And we will reconvene in the next municipal year. Thanks, everybody. Close the meeting there.